All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lily's Show and Tell series. I'm Cassandra Nieves, the Lily Web Committee Chair. Lily stands for Lifelong Information Literacy, and we're a group of librarians and information professionals who work to promote lifelong information literacy. Before we begin the session, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping items. The first is that the session is being recorded and the recording will be available on the Show and Tell webpage by the end of next week. And I will share that link in the chat momentarily. Feel free to put questions in the chat. I'm going to keep an eye on it. So I'll jot down any questions that you have for our speaker and we can get to those at the end. You'll also be welcome to unmute yourselves at the end for the Q&A portion. And finally, if you want to learn more about Lily or presenting your own show and tell event, I have my email address in my Zoom name, so feel free to email me at any time. And now on to our speaker, Cynthia Soll.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing really well today. My name is Cynthia Soll, and I am a research librarian at McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas. And over the last couple of years, our library has really been on a quest to figure out how we can use AI to ease our workload and make our workflows a little more productive. And so that's what we've been doing. And we presented about it at TLA, and we've just been really busy using AI in a lot of different ways. Making AI voiceovers is probably the single best way that we've figured out to save time with AI. And that really just has a lot to do with the recording process being so tedious. We found that, especially me, I found that if I was recording myself, that I often had to re-record, or I would stumble over words and have difficulties. And so this was a huge problem for me. My office is located just beside the door that comes into the inner offices. So I'd have a lot of door noises or people chatting outside my office. And even with really strong quality of mic, I couldn't always guarantee that I was going to get the same quality of audio recording because my energy might be higher one day. I might accidentally use a slightly different tone when I was speaking. And it could just be problematic when I started to combine those tracks, because then what would happen was they wouldn't match from recording session to recording session. Now we have a green room here that I can go and use, but probably much like you, I don't have time to leave my office for extended periods of time to go record myself in a quiet space. So in the long run, I just really disliked recording myself. One of my coworkers, she's a prolific video maker. She has over 200 that she's recorded. And even she had some little idiosyncrasies that annoyed her. She didn't like to hear herself inhaling, so she would have to go through at the end and snip out all those inhalations from her recordings. And it's tedious. So what we started doing was using AI voiceover software, specifically ElevenLabs. So let me get my screen shared with you, and I will go ahead and move forward and talk some more about this. So here's the nice thing about AI. From day to day, AI always sounds the same. So what that means is that we can record ourselves, we can record our AI clips on a Monday, come back next week, record more clips. And as long as we're using the same voice, the audio is going to match, which is really nice. I am currently at ElevenLabs.io, and this is the website that we use. And let's see. The other nice thing about the consistency of AI is that if I make a video today, and then maybe it's a video showing some policy or showing the way to navigate our website. So if I make a video today and some small thing changes on our website, or there's some small change to that policy, I can go in next year and re-record a little snippet and edit the current video, and my audio is still going to match. So I don't ever have to worry about that consistency or my level, my energy level. I'm always going to know that it's going to match. So AI voiceover has really cut our production time, and that frees up time for us to do other duties, which I'm sure you're like us and you're all swamped. So like I said, today I'm going to be focusing on ElevenLabs. It's simple to use and it offers a wide variety of natural sounding voices. We'll go over the basics and I'll show you some tips, and I'll show you how we integrate AI voiceovers into our videos using Camtasia. I'm not going to go deep into the elements of adding imagery because I'm assuming you already have some knowledge of Camtasia if you're here today, but I will go over the basic way that we incorporate those audio and do a little bit on the visual elements. During this presentation, I won't take questions, but I can take some at the end and we can go over it because I just have a lot of ground to cover. And so let me get everything queued up here. Oh, and by the way, if you're worried about AI ethics, one nice thing about Camtasia that you should know is that it does have a couple of ethical options for you. The first is that you can clone your own voice. So you can sit down with a high quality mic, clone your own voice, and then produce a clone of your voice that you use to narrate your videos. So if you want it to sound more like you, or you just want to make sure that you have an ethical option, you can do that. The second thing is that other users also clone their voices, and they make their voice available through the database of different voices. And if you choose someone else's voice that they have created, they do receive compensation for that. So you have a couple of ethical options you can consider. So before we get started, oh, and I should have already had this pulled up for you. Okay, before we get started, I want to show you a video in 1 second of one of the videos I've created. Sorry about that. Give me just 1 second, y'all. All right, so we'll just look at this one. So this is a video on how to
about
write
writing a
footnote for a Chicago video. And here it goes.
Let's talk about writing a Chicago-style or Turabian-style note. First, you should know that notes come in 2 different forms, footnotes or endnotes. Footnotes are located at the bottom of the page where you cited the book, while endnotes are located on an endnotes page near the end of your paper. But they're both written exactly the same way. So, while we're going to concentrate on footnotes in these videos, you can also use these exact same methods to write endnotes. You'll just insert them in different places in your paper. Let's get started. Notes are always preceded by a number, and they're divided into 3 major sections. The first section is for authors. The second section is for publication information, and the last section is for locations.
I'm going to stop it there because I think you probably don't want to sit through this whole video. It's about 3 minutes long. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how this is playing out with the audio clips on the videos. So I'm pretty happy with the audio clips. I don't have really any major issues with them. I think the voices are improving over time, and actually it just so happens that ElevenLabs updated their software last week. So I'll talk about that a little more in just a minute. Okay, so let's take a look at ElevenLabs and we can kind of go from there. Not going to delve into pricing because pricing can really vary and it can really depend on what you're looking for. We do have paid ElevenLabs here at the MCC library. However, you don't have to have a paid account in order to try it out. In fact, ElevenLabs lets you have up to 10 minutes of free audio per month. With us, we try to keep our videos below 3 minutes, so we find that we lose our young students' attention. And so each of us could technically create up to 3 videos a month using that free account. They do have an attribution request though, so if you do end up using those audio clips that you make in the free account, please make sure you give ElevenLabs some attribution and give them credit that you're using their software. I also want to mention that you can start that today. Literally today, after you watch this, if you want to go and start playing with ElevenLabs, you can do it immediately. Okay, let me see where I'm at in my notes here and get back over to ElevenLabs. Okay, so starting in ElevenLabs, you're going to go to the Go to App option here. And when you go to App, you'll end up on this screen right here. Now, when you're on this screen, this is your home screen, and you know that I'm logged in because it says, "Good afternoon, Cynthia." This is not my paid account. I did make a free account so that I could show you all things that you'd be able to access today. And I'm just going to go over a couple of pages on this app that I use most often. You can explore other things on your own. So here we are. We're on the home page. We know we're on the home page because if I look right over here, the home option, oops, sorry about that. There we go. The home page is highlighted here. Now, you can explore this later on your own, but I'm going to focus mainly on two things today. I'm going to focus on voices and I'm going to focus on text to speech. There are other options here you can explore later. Voice changer, sound effects, dubbing, all sorts of things. Take your time and explore those, but they don't really fit with what we're trying to do today. Okay, so now I'm on the home screen and I want to go to the voices menu. So I'm just going to go right over here and I'm going to click on voices. So here I am in voices, and the first tab at the top, there's 4 tabs. The first tab at the top is the main page for the voices, and they call it Explore. It's really well named because that's exactly what you do on this page. You explore all the different voice options that are available to you. So you can see that they have them organized in little clumps. And by the way, I did mention that they updated this week or last week. And the fantastic thing about it was I got to relearn the website before I got to come present to you guys today because they changed it all around. So here we are. We're in trending voices. I can see 6 options here. So these are popular voices right now. Or I can just hit the little arrow here next to it. And I can see a whole list of trending voices. So you can scroll and you'll see that it's actually quite long. When it seems like it's getting to the end, it loads more. There are thousands of voices for you to choose here. Choose from here. Okay, I can also just hit explore again to get back to the main page, or I could page back and it'll take me back to that explore page. So let's see, if I wanted to use a voice, what am I most likely to look at? So, all right, here I am. Okay, so here I have trending voices. They're grouped in different ways. So here you have one that says bring your stories to life. That's going to be great if you're looking to narrate one of your stories. If you are looking to engage or to create video games, then here are some voices you could use for that. I am not that creative. Hats off to the people who are. These are epic voices, the kind that narrate those trailers at the cinema. And then you have conversational and so on. You can scroll through all of these and see what all you like. They also grouped here. Now, for me, I speak English. So my students primarily speak English. And so we are going to probably look at the English speaking voices. That's what I would do anyway. So I'm going to click the arrow next to it. I'm going to go to the English speaking voices. You can see that there are quite a few. We have English speaking with an American accent. And we have English with an Indian accent. We have English with a British accent. There's quite a few different options. The way that you narrow it down to what you want is that you just type it in the bar at the top. Let's see if it'll go there for me. I'm experiencing a little lag today. I apologize for that. So I'm going to get an American accent so that my primarily American students have a voice that sounds familiar to them. So I'm just going to type in American. Hit my enter button. There I am. I'm looking at primarily English accents, English speaking American accents. Okay. And then I can also add a little bit more, but let's talk about what else I want to add. I work with 1st and 2nd year students. And so one of my suggestions to you is that you choose a voice that your students can identify with. I'm not going to choose an English academic voice, because while that voice may come across as very intelligent, it can also be a little intimidating for my students. I want them to have a voice that they feel like they can connect with and identify with. So that's what I'm going to try to find. I want a voice that sounds young and is upbeat. And so that's exactly what I'm going to put into my search bar here. I'm going to add young and upbeat to my search terms. Hit enter. And here we go. I've got new options, okay? Or actually, it's just a narrow set of options. So I can kind of look and see what I've got here. Okay, so first I have Brad. And if I hit Brad.
Hey, it's Brad. When your customers call, they're going to like talking to me because I sound professional, but kind of chill at the same time.
Okay. Were you guys able to hear Brad there? Making sure you're getting my audio. All right, so here we've got Brad. We can listen to another.
Hey, are you looking for a fresh and engaging voice for your podcast or social media? Then I'm the voice for you.
I like Hope. She sounds really upbeat. She's exactly the kind of voice that I probably would want my students to engage with. And I think that they would kind of be interested in hearing her. And so I might pick her, okay? Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my notes here, make sure I've got where I need to be. Okay, so I'm going to choose Hope, I think, but I want to review a little bit of information about Hope first. So I can hover over Hope's name and I can learn a little bit about her. So the first thing it tells me is that Hope is upbeat and clear. There's not a big description on Hope. That can vary by the voice. But I do notice right here that it says that Hope has a 2 years notice. That is very important, and you're going to want to remember it, because what that means is this is a user-made voice, and that user has given you 2 years notice. So if the creator of Hope decides that she's going to remove this voice from the voice catalog, she's going to give you 2 years notice of that fact. So if you already got Hope added to your favorites, and I'll show you how to do that in just a couple of minutes, then you've got 2 years to finish up any projects that you were working on with Hope before that voice goes away and disappears from your favorites. So that is incredibly useful. I saw one yesterday that had 0 notice. And so I could literally be in the middle of a project and log in the next day and that voice is gone. So always make sure you're checking that 2 years notice. And the notice is a really good giveaway that the voice is made by a user. It used to actually denote whether the voice was made by a user or created with a algorithm. But since this latest update, it's not there. I was planning to show you guys that, but I did find this method for figuring it out. You can also see that 216.4K users are using the voice of Hope, and that 2 billion characters have been used to have Hope speak. That just means we're going to be using text to voice. 2 billion typed characters have been input for Hope to create speech with. Okay. I can also look over here and I can learn more about Hope. Hope is available in English, but you can also have her in Portuguese, Russian, Czech, Croatian, Bulgarian, French. So maybe you have a French class and you want to translate those videos into French for that class. I'm not that talented, but maybe you are. You could find Hope in French and dub those in instead. Okay, they think she's great for social media. You don't have to think so. And I think this sounds like a really good voice. So there's a couple of things I can do at this point. I can save Hope. Just a second. I can use the voice here, or I can come up here into my voices and use Hope. But I want to save Hope in my voices first, if it cooperates with me. Okay. Doesn't seem to want to let me add Hope to my favorite voices. Okay, let's try pulling Hope back up. Sorry about that. Okay, here's Hope, upbeat and clear again. Oh, I might already have her in my voices. I was prepping for you guys. I do. So Hope didn't have the little plus sign where I could add her to my voices because I added her last night when I was rehearsing for you all. Okay, so here's Hope. Great, I like Hope. I'm going to go with her. So this is the voice I'm going to use. I have two options for ways to use her. I can either hit right here, use voice, or I can go right over here to text to speech because that's what I'm going to use her in, okay? So now we're going to move on from the voices screen to text to speech. And by the way, there's other things here like default voices and collections, but I'm going to let you guys explore those on your own, okay? Because we have so much to cover. Okay, so here I am, text to speech. Let me get rid of these old things. I was practicing just random text to have you guys. Okay, when you come in the first time, this is what you're going to be looking at. This is going to be the area where you're going to enter your text, and you're going to put in whatever text you want to have her say. And then this is going to be the area where your settings are located. So if I had Hope say, "How are you today?" Okay. Then I can hit generate speech.
How are you today?
And she's going to immediately say what I want her to say. So make sure you have your speakers turned up so you can hear what Hope has to say. Now, you might not like the way your first generation sounds. So I don't love this one. I'll play it again really quickly.
How are you today?
Think it's a little bit of a weird enunciation. By the way, to replay something, you just hit this arrow right down here. If you don't love what she said or the way she said it, just go right here to regenerate speech and she'll say it a different way.
How are you today?
Still don't love it. But you can play with it a little bit. Now, this is the drawback to ElevenLabs. ElevenLabs kind of creates its own enunciation, and you can just kind of go from there. There are other versions of software outside of ElevenLabs. There are tons of AI voiceover software out there that you can use. I specifically don't use them for a very important reason. This is because I know myself. So in these other programs, you can have a lot of control over the length of a pause, the exact inflection on every word, the rising voices, whispering, a lot of different things. And the thing that I am really trying to do with AI is save myself time. But I do know myself, and I do know that if I had the ability to work on every single little pause and inflection in a sentence, then I would go down a rabbit hole and I would just waste an incredible amount of time, and it would really be counterproductive. So I tend to go with what I'm using right here. Okay, so a couple of additional things. That was weird. Okay, so a couple of additional things. You can have a little bit of control over how things are set on here. So I can say, "Hello, how are you today?" And I can actually add a pause here. There is a little chance sometimes when you're creating a voice that if you have a word at the very beginning that's followed by a comma, it'll get a little garbled at the beginning. This version 2 is not as bad about that as version 3, which has just come out last week. It's still in alpha and it's a little problematic. By the way, I didn't show you when you come into this, it's going to default to version 3. So you're going to be in this version right here. I would highly recommend that you come here and try out version 2 right now. You can play with version 3, but it's not as stable, so you get a little bit of weirdness. And so, hello, how are you today? I can add a little pause there if I put an ellipses. Yeah, punctuation can matter. A question mark can make it the tone and the pronunciation of the question change. So here I'm going to add ellipses, and it's going to treat it like a pause.
Hello, how are you today?
You notice it's got a little bit of a pause after that. If you don't like the pause, if you don't think it's long enough, you can add additional periods there to stretch it out. And then also, if you want to really add a lot of, if you want to add some, if you want to highlight a specific word, that's what I'm trying to say. You can capitalize it and put it in quotes. That's been the best way I've found to do it. So let me generate it here again.
Hello, how are you today?
And you can kind of play with it from there. I have to say that I'm not super impressed with this voice. I think that it's a little robotic sounding. So if I was actually using a voice for videos, I would probably opt for a different one. I also want to show you this right over here. So the voice is a little flat for me. I do have some options to change that. I can come right over here on version 2. You have these options. You can speed the voices speaking up. You can change the stability. You do need to know that if you go down below a certain point, that it can become a little unstable. So if I go down below 30, it can become a little unstable. And so usually, I think they usually come in about 32 or so. And then similarity. If I put in similarity, like here.
Hello, how are you today?
That was a nice one. It can kind of affect how things are working too. So those are your options for playing with this. Now, every time that I am hitting regenerate on my speech, it's using up a few credits. I have 10,000 free credits per month with my free account. And you can come right over here and see how many credits you have. 9,542 credits remaining. So while prepping for you guys, I did waste some credits. I can also come down here where my name is at. This is my account, and I can click here and I can see that number as well. Another nice thing here is that you can affect your terms and privacy. So you just click there and you can see change your terms and privacy. You can set your privacy so that not everybody's seeing what you look like, because it's not being used to train the software. Okay, so let's say I got something I really like. Okay, I liked that last one. I want to use it. All I have to do to save my audio clip is I can hit download over here, or I can hit download here. And it tends to default to your downloads folder, which is fine. You can put them all there and then move them later on. So what I would do is I would have a script written for my piece, and I would go through and do 1 to 2 sentences at a time as in here and create my audio clips. But that audio that I just downloaded, I like to organize them immediately. So let me show you this. I'm going to have to change the screen that I'm showing you really quickly. If I can get it to change. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to switch out to a different screen and show you my Windows Navigator. Okay, so this is the screen I want to show you. So here I am in my downloads folder, and you can see that that file went right here. This only takes a second, but it's going to seem awkward and tedious to you at first. When I download a file, I immediately change the name. So if this was going to be the first audio clip in my video, I would change it to say 001 dash, hello, how are, oh, here's a typo. Sorry about that. I seem to be experiencing a little bit of lag on my system. Okay. 001, I like to put them in numerical order because it's going to help them organize the files. And if you don't do this now, you're going to be coming back to a whole lot of files with weird gibberish names that don't make any sense to you and have to go through them one at a time. Hello, how are. So that's all I would write. I'd usually write 2 or 3 words off the beginning of it. And so I'm going to come back and I'm going to do that with each audio clip. And I just added W on the end of hello twice. I have no idea why. But I'm going to do that to each audio clip. And I'm going to put all my audio clips in here. So I'm going to go through my script. Like I said, do 1 to 2 sentences at a time, get all my audio clips in one place. And once I have them all in one place here in my downloads folder and I'm done producing the clips, what I do next is I usually just copy them or cut them. And you can do that with Control X if you're on a Windows PC, or with Command X if you're on a MacBook. So I would cut them out and then I would go and put them in my Camtasia folder. My Camtasia folder is located in Documents. I don't know if that is the default location for it or if that is just where our IT department put it. But here's my Camtasia folder. I can open it up and you'll see I have folders for each of my projects. I recommend that you have a folder for your project because if you come back to it later, you're gonna want to make sure everything's together. If your file becomes corrupted, or if you need to make those edits, you want to have all your materials in one spot in case you have to change some stuff around. Here I created one that says AI voiceover demo. We're going to see if it's going to let us into it. And so here you can see all of my files are already here and ready to go. So what I want to do at this point is start working in Camtasia. And in order to do that, I'm just going to open up Camtasia and go from there. But before I do that, I know I'm going to use all of these files. So I'm just going to hide them out of the way. And I need to change my screen again really quickly. So bear with me. All right, so now we're in Camtasia. And here's what it looks like when I open it up. I'm going to start with a new project. And TechSmith Camtasia. It can take a couple of seconds. If you don't have Camtasia, you can use Canva for this, or I believe there's a program called OBS Studios that my coworkers, my previous coworkers used quite often, and they were quite pleased with that one. I've not used that one. Okay. Hold on just a second. When I expanded, it kicked you guys out of that screen. So let me get back over here and share this with you. Here we go. So here we are. We're in Camtasia. And this is what we have. When you come in, you've got your different little assets. You can navigate over here on the left. You've got your canvas here, and you've got your tracks down here. So now here I am in Camtasia, and this is where those audio tracks come in useful. I don't know if you noticed, and I forgot to point it out to you at the time, but that 001, 002 put all of my tracks in order within my folder where I stored them. That made it really easy for me to keep them organized. And in case I forget which track is which, I've got the first few words of each one right there for me. So you're not going to see this, but I'm going to go over and look at those. And yeah, they're all there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to import them all into here. So the way that I do that is I'm already in my Camtasia assets. As you can see, it says media right here. I'm going to go over to this little one that looks like a film strip, and I'm just going to hit import media and import them all at one time. It's going to pop up a window. Not sure if you all are seeing that. Hold on just a second. Okay, you're still seeing this, right? Okay, I'm not sure if you're seeing it. It's just opened up a Windows Navigator screen where I can select all my files in that folder. I'm going to tell it, I'm going to highlight one, click Control A to select everything, open these files up, and it should import that media. Great. And as you can see, it just populated all that media right here into my media bin. Here's my folder, right? Or here's my pieces. I've got 001, 002, 003. It's all organized, right? So I actually have two 001s because I just want to show you how to delete one. Now, at this point, I could select one of them, hit Control A to select them all, and then just drag them down here and put them all right on my audio track. I always like to put my audio track on the bottom and build everything up from there. So the problem with doing it this way is that my files are right on top of each other, and the sentences are all made separately. So I'm not 100% sure if the pauses between those audio files are going to sound natural enough. Okay. So I'm going to take that back off, because what I would usually do, oh, and let me tell you how I did that. You can go in and you can delete. You can right click on it. Hold on just a second. It wants to populate itself. Okay, so I could have the option to go here, right click and hit delete. But the great thing about Camtasia is that it works really well with all those keyboard shortcuts that you can use in Windows. So I can just hit Control Z and it'll back up one step. So that one step that I had made was to put all those tracks on there. Control Z gets rid of them. So now I'm back here where I'm just looking at this. I do want to show you this though. So this file I even marked as delete because I wanted to tell you about deleting. Let's say I have this file on my track one, and I wanted to delete it, aside for some reason I don't want it. If I try to go here and delete it, it's going to say the file's in use on the timeline. I can't do that. So, and before you can do that, you need to delete that file from your track. Okay, you can do that just by selecting it and backspacing it, it'll delete it. It again, much like Microsoft Word specifically. So once I have it off of my timeline, I can go here, I can right click, and I can delete that file. The other thing I want to let you know is that I usually put my files in 1 or 2 at a time and fiddle with them to get them where I want them. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the first 5 tracks, and I'm going to drop them down here. And we'll just listen to them really quick and see, do they sound okay side by side?
Up till now, this series has focused on notes for Chicago-style and Turabian-style documents. We learned what they are, where they are, and why we use them. Now we're moving on to references. But before we talk about creating references, we need to understand them. What are they? Where are they? Why do they exist?
Okay, so you might notice on track 5 that she started off by saying, where are they? That's an error. That's just a problem that it had when it was creating it. But I did like the way she said everything else in that snippet, and I generated that a few times. So what I decided to do is just use it. So here it is, it's on my timeline, and I'm going to edit it. And the way I do that is by going right here. I have the magnifying glass, and I can zoom out further, or I can zoom in closer. I'm going to zoom in all the way, and I'm going to look at this track. And then what I'm going to do, and now I just got to move my zoom stuff here because I can't see, is I'm going to drag this playhead back to where I want it. When you grab the playhead, just make sure you're grabbing it here on the right center part. All right, so here it is. I'm going to play that again, and I'm going to watch my track here. So look for that dip between when she says and the next part. Here we go.
What are they? Where are they?
I'm a little lagged up, so that didn't work. Let's try it again.
What are
And it sounds like what starts right here with this little hill. So I can double check that by placing my playhead here.
they?
No, that wasn't it. I apologize, you guys. I'm really lagged this morning. All right. Looks like this might be what?
What are they?
Perfect. So I'm just going to place my playhead right in front of that. And then I'm going to make sure I have that track selected. And then I'm going to go right over here to this little line, and it's called split. You're just going to hit that. It's going to split this track in 2. I'm going to grab this piece of the track and just backspace, and that'll take it out. Now I can grab my next piece and I can butt it up right up against that one. But maybe I wouldn't feel that this one had enough space. This one has a nice little empty space at the end of it, but if it didn't, let me pull this back so it gets rid of that empty space. So it's right on top of the speech before.
What are they?
Uh,
Stand them. What are they?
If you have tracks that are working like that and they're too close together, you can just grab them and move them over and add space. It doesn't matter if you have blank spaces here in the middle of your tracks. It'll just come across as a pause. So if you have things that don't have enough of a pause in them, you can split them like I just showed you, drag them apart slightly and add a pause. And that works right here within your tracks. So let me shrink this down and take a look at my notes real quick to see where I'm at. Sorry, apologies. I'm going to stop sharing for just 1 second. Well, I have just gone through a whole lot of my script without scrolling through it. So, okay. All right. Okay. So we got rid of the duplicate track, and I showed you how to edit the other track. And I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, sometimes you're going to listen to a track when you get it next to the previous track. Let me get back to sharing here really quickly. So sometimes you'll listen to a track when it's laid up against another track, and you'll decide that, you know what, I really don't like the way those tracks sound together. Once that gets put together with the other one, it sounds awkward. I have a really bad habit, having worked in academia for so long, of writing out words. I never use contractions. So I might say, they will not, instead of saying they won't, right? And that can look fine when I'm typing it, but it can sound really awkward when the voiceover starts to pronounce it. So oftentimes I'll need to go back and edit. And so I'll go back into Camtasia, I'll re-record, and I want to put it right into the same folder. And a lot of times I want to put it right into the same file. You cannot copy over an existing file without removing it from Camtasia completely. So not only do you need to remove it from the timeline down here, you also need to remove it. See if I can make this screen a little bigger for me. You also need to remove it from your media bin. So in order to do that, you're just going to go up to your media bin, right click and delete it. But again, remember, you can't take it out of the media bin until it's off the timeline. So let's see. Refresh my memory of where I'm. Okay, so now we're going to talk about visual elements. So where do I get all my visual elements? We get, or I get almost all of my visual elements from Adobe Stock. We do have a paid Adobe Stock accounts here at the MCC Library. However, you don't have to have a paid Adobe Stock account to use Adobe Stock. So let me go back to my internet so I can show you this really quickly. Adobe, all right. Let me get out of this screen and get over to Adobe Stock. So you can just go to Adobe Stock. They have really quality elements. They're fantastic. They're reviewed by a staff before they accept them, and a huge proportion of them are actually free. So in order to find free elements, you just go over here where it says all on the homepage, and you select free and type in what you need. So maybe I want a student, let's say I want a college student because I work at a college student typing, right? I just put that in and let it process. And here I have a whole selection of college students who are typing. I've already selected free, so I know that all of these images are free. I can download any of them and I can use them in my video because they're available for use, and it's educational, so it's not a big deal. They do allow you to use it. I'm not saying you should break some sort of covenant. Okay, so then what you can do is just import these and put them in your video. If you want to make some custom ones, I recommend you go to Ideogram, which is right here. Ideogram is fantastic. It's free. It's not all free. There is a paid account, but you can use it for free to make all sorts of things. So you have to sign up for an account first. I can't type in until I do that. But like I said, you can get a free account. The only thing you need to know about the free account is that the free account doesn't keep your images private. So if you create something, other people can see it, other people can use it. I do use it sometimes to make custom text that I want to use. And once you make an element, you can come over here to this canvas and remove the background. So if you want just a pretty word that's going to float on the background, you can do that. You can go ahead and make it that way right here. Okay, so I'm getting a little short on time, so I want to make sure I'm moving forward. Let's get back to Canva real quick. And let me, I'm sorry, Camtasia really quickly, and let me just show you a couple of additional tiny things, and then we'll be done. So to add a visual, how do you do that? You just come right into your Camtasia. You go to find your video, your element. I'm going to do this off screen. You won't be able to see it, so I don't have to switch it up and make you guys watch me. I'm just going to grab an image. This is one that I actually made in Ideogram. you can drag and drop images into Camtasia too. So I'm just going to grab this image and I'm just going to drop it on my timeline. Okay. And when I play that image,
What are they?
here we go. So here's my image and it's on my background. So you can drag and drop and put those things right in. Let's see. I think that's everything I had to cover about images. Okay. There is one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that is an issue that we had at the library, which was incredibly unintentional, but it's something I wanted to point out. When you're making instructional videos, if you say, look at the video, look at this example on the screen, then what you have to realize is that is not accessible for everyone, and you just cut out everyone who cannot see that screen. So what I recommend is that when you are creating your videos, that you make sure that you are narrating what appears on your screen. However, I don't recommend that you narrate it word for word, because the students who can read what's on the screen don't want to sit there and watch you read to them. So for example, when I have a video where I'm showing the elements of a citation, I don't read the person's last name, but I will say last name, comma, first name, if you understand what I'm saying. The elements can be narrated without making the viewer feel like they are being read to or treated or infantilized. So I highly recommend that you try with all of your might to write your script initially with your non-sighted viewers in mind. Because if you do that, then everything else will fall into place for all of your viewers. That will support your non-sighted and your sighted viewers. And then your sighted viewers have the visual elements on the screen to help them further understand what you're talking about within your video. All right. The last thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to open this. For us. Okay. I don't think it's going to launch very quickly for us. It seems to have locked up. Oh, wait. All right. There it goes. Okay. So here's one of my videos. And I just want to show you the last little bit here. When you're adding visual elements, I really recommend that you start off with all of your audio tracks in the bottom, that you layer your visual elements on top. You can get quite a few visual elements in there. And what I do is I tend to put them all in separate layers. So I generally like to have a background layer, which is right here. I add that background by going to annotations, clicking on the shape, dragging in a white square, and stretching it to fit my screen. Okay. I'm not going to do that right now because I already have one on there. Then I like to lay my other elements on top of that. You can make these tracks more visible by grabbing right here just below your canvas and pulling up. You'll be able to see a lot more of the tracks. You can then go across and lay in your elements. Let me zoom in a little bit and you'll see right here, I have an Adobe stock video. As soon as that disappears, then it goes into the next element, and I'll fast forward so you can see that. And it's just this, and I put a zoom on it. The zoom feature is right here in within your I think it's in animations, if I remember correctly. And then I just layer the elements in. Don't be afraid to have a ton of tracks. Do have a ton of tracks if you need them, because as I go along, you'll see I have more elements that build up on the screen, and I have quite a few tracks in here. Adding more tracks is better because it's easier to organize. If you're on your screen and you can't figure out where a track is at, just touch it on your screen and it'll highlight in your tracks below. Okay, that's everything I want to say about that. I'm going to really quickly pop over to Canva. I don't have time to cover much in there, but I can show you a couple of things really quickly. We get Camtasia closed. And get over to Canva. Thanks for bearing with me today through all of my little issues. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have learned something. And I'm just going to share this Canva screen with you really quick and point out a little bit about Canva really quickly. When you come into Canva to make a video, all you have to do is click right down here on video. When you get into video, you can click here to choose different styles. These are going to be blank canvases, or you can use some video templates, okay? If you select, say you want to do a mobile video that you want to put on somewhere on one of your social media accounts, you select that account, and here I am. I'm just going to there. Okay, there we go. All right, so same thing here. I can drop in my visual elements here, and then down here where it says audio, that's where I would drop in my audio clips. In order to do that, you need to upload them first by coming over here to the side menu and selecting upload, selecting your files and having them there. And then you can upload them and put them in here. One track at a time, side by side. I have not ever figured out, maybe some of you know, how to add more tracks above here. So as far as I know, you need to do side-by-side tracks over here for your visual elements, so plan accordingly. And the last thing I really want to tell you that you need to know is that there's a 50-track limit on audio clips here. So plan accordingly. If you think you're going to need 60, you have 60 sentences, then do a couple of clips that are 2 or more sentences. Okay, that is it for me. Let me stop sharing. And I have 7 minutes to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. I definitely learned a lot. Does anyone have any questions? I haven't seen any in the chat that haven't been answered yet, but if you do, you're welcome to put them in there. You can unmute yourself, whatever you're most comfortable with. While we wait, I will ask, do you think it takes about the same amount of time, less time, or more time making videos this way, as opposed to like having to re-record a million times because you hate the way you pause and how your voice sounds?
Yeah, I would say actually my coworker who hates her inhalations is in here right now. Her name is Rachel Kramer. I saw her chatting in the chat. I would say it takes much less time. It seems like a cumbersome process when I'm showing it to you right now, but a lot of that is me switching in between screens and being just a little nervous, you guys. But when you're doing it on your own, you really get into a workflow and it goes really fast. And it definitely has cut my time with making videos by a lot. But the most important thing is it really keeps me from procrastinating about them, because I hated recording so much that I would just put it off and put it off. So I'm not procrastinating as much as I used to procrastinate. I'm not going to say I'm not 100%. You know, I still procrastinate a little bit on them, but it's much better now.
Amazing. We do have a question in the chat. How do you work with ElevenLabs if you have difficult words to pronounce? Is there a way to teach it, or do you just spell it phonetically?
So I haven't had any particularly difficult words that I've had to have it pronounced. In fact, because I'm doing instructional videos, I'm usually trying to use simpler words if possible. It's pretty good at using some of the terminology that we're using in college. One of them that comes to mind is et al. You know, when I'm teaching how to use make citations, I need to use the term et al. It always pronounces it correctly, or I should say almost always, because a little while back it decided to start saying et al, which was a little awkward, but I just regenerated it and then it caught on. I was trying to get it to say AI, and you do have to make sure you put those periods in there, because otherwise it said IE. So it was going with that Spanish pronunciation for the AI.
We have a question about, do you know anything about the pricing structure for ElevenLabs?
Yeah, hang on, I can pull it up for you really quickly. It's really not bad. And I do want to tell you that you do have to have a certain level if you do want to make your own voice. So if you want to clone your voice, then you are going to need to have here we go. So the pricing, let me pull it over here so it doesn't look I'm looking off to the side. Sorry, I had it on my other screen there. So free is, of course, $0, and that gives you 10,000 credits a month. And then for the starter kit, you get 30,000 credits a month, and that's $5 a month. I have the creator package. You have to at least have the creator package in order to clone your own voice. And that is $22 a month, but for your first month, it's $11. So if you wanted to give it a try, you can get a discount to try it out for a month and see what you think of it. Or you can just start with the free account. I don't work for them, so I'm not going to say, no, you must use this particular program. You can go out and explore and check out other programs as well. And if you don't know what's out there, ask Google or ChatGPT or one of the other AIs what's out there.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, I should also tell you they have a pro account with 500,000 characters a month, and that's $99.
Do we have any other questions?
I see Marianella Sanchez asking about the institutional membership.
Yes.
We do have that, or do we have individual accounts? I think my supervisor is in here. No, we have individual accounts. So we have paid individual accounts. That's how they went through it. I would recommend that you look out, that you reach out to their sales department, and they can probably give you information about an institutional package. We had a little trouble getting it initially because they used to only bill 11 months, and our institution wouldn't work with that. But they do have, they are starting to work with institutions. So they do have other options now.
Fantastic.
You're welcome.
Great. So we have no more questions. We can wrap up. Just a reminder, this is recorded. It will be on the Lily webpage within a week. You can. Let me put that link in the chat now, just in case you want to come back to it. And we can wrap up. So thank you, Cynthia, so much. That was so informative. Definitely gonna take a look at that and try it out for my, because I have a lot of videos this summer.
Yeah. Yes, and that makes it so much faster. It's a great tool.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Hope everyone has a lovely day.
Bye, everybody.